as I said, our focus has been on how to make sure that the farmers can earn profitably from the enterprise. And therefore, at the onset, when we plan how they will make the deliveries, those risks are also identified and and managed. It's possible that, okay, in this particular instance, you need more additional logistics support. We're not a logistics company, but we can help identify other logistics providers for them and help negotiate for them some of the rates so that it becomes affordable. Or, for example, cold storage facilities, which are normally allotted ahead for people who can reserve and have the resources. But again, we can use our influence with our cold storage service providers so that they can offer these spaces for the farmers. So we find ways and means using our networks, using our contacts, using partners to make it possible.
Are there willing communities that find themselves in a fix because even as they want to contribute to find a sure market where the market is in the cities, they just can't because of the lack of, say, farm to market roads, cold
Yeah.
storage facilities, and all other infrastructure?
Yeah. I think that we still have those areas. We still have those areas. And but I'm hopeful, I'm very optimistic. The thrust of our national government now, especially the Department of Agriculture, to really link the farmers to the value chain, they're looking into it. In fact, the whole idea of clustering and consolidation is already part of their approach. And all the programs now that they're doing are meant to support these kinds of clustering activities. So it's going to happen sooner or later, and we're really excited for that possibility.
So what happens to the middleman then if we do cluster and coordinate and do that successfully? What happens and what then for maybe market prices of produce?
I think the middleman plays a role in the value chain. Uh, it is now a matter of therefore adjusting what will now be the proper role that he or she can play in that value chain. For example, even in our requirements, because we have specific quality requirements, there are some crops that we cannot buy. Or, for example, their harvest, we cannot buy the entire 100% because they will not pass our quality requirements. Farmers would need alternative markets for that. And the middlemen can play that role. So I think there's a role. It's just a matter of how to rearrange it now so that the value is shared equitably across the players.
And in terms of continuity, how do you plan for that given the changing administrations, changing people's in power in several of the LGUs you work with? How do you ensure that that'll carry on despite whoever is on top?
Well, for now, we already have more than almost 2,000 farmers all over the country who have experienced it and who are now clamoring for assistance and support from the Department for the Agriculture, from the local government units. A lot of cooperatives are also looking closely into it. I think the demand for that will come from the grassroots, from the farmers' organization, will just continue to grow. And that voice will have to be heard by whoever will be in power. Because in the end, they provide our food every day. I mean, who can ignore the farmers? We cannot ignore them. We just have to really support them.
And also to look at food and creating that sustainable food ecosystem in terms of climate.
Right. Correct.
What then, and how then are you preparing for the changing climate conditions that make it impossible for maybe farmers to plant and harvest as they wish, and also in the way that you're conducting your disaster responses?
Yeah. So there are two aspects to it. One is how will they adapt to the changing climate patterns? So looking at varietal crop diversity, looking at weather forecasting. The other element of it is, as you know, agriculture is also the highest contributor to carbon emissions. And part of that is the way they manage the soil. And so we're also looking at soil health regeneration activities. We're still at the very infant stage of that, but this is something that we're also telling the farmers, we also have to be mindful of how our own practices could contribute to carbon emissions, and how can we adopt different practices so that in the end everyone will also not get affected, including their own production patterns.